Every time you use a Claude Code, your source code, your client IP, your proprietary logic, your competitive advantage gets sent to Anthropic servers. For most consultancies, that's a compliance nightmare waiting to happen. But 2 weeks ago, Ollama released an update that changes it all entirely. You could now run the Claude Code locally on your own machine with your code never leaving the building. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what this means for your business and whether it's worth making the switch. I'm V, I run an AI consultancy on this channel, and I share exactly what tools and workflows we're testing and building for clients, including the ones that don't work. We will cover 3 things. First, what this update actually means. I will cut through the jargon. Second, how to set it up, step by step, and it only takes about 10 minutes. And third, the honest verdict. Is it actually good enough to use? Let's start what actually changed. Here's the compliance nightmare I mentioned. Tools like GitHub, Copilot, Claude Code, Cursor, they all send your code to external API. That's how they work. You type, they send it to the cloud, AI processes it, and it sends back suggestions. For consultancies, that is a problem. Client contracts often prohibit sending code or data to third parties. Even if it's not prohibited, the risk usually isn't worth the productivity gain. So the result, developers and consultancies get left behind while everyone else accelerates. That's the governance wall. Now here's what Ollama released 2 weeks ago. Version 0.14 added something called Anthropic API compatibility. In the plain English, that means Ollama can now speak Anthropic language. Why does that matter? Because Claude Code application doesn't actually care where AI lives. It just needs something that responds in the right format. So now you can point the Claude Code at Ollama instead of Anthropic servers. Your code never leaves your machine or your servers. And here's what that actually enables for consultancies. Same Claude Code interface, same workflow, but local execution. Plus, no API costs, just your electricity. Governance teams can actually approve it because the data stays on premise. But, and it's important, you're not running Claude. You're running open source model, and that is a different thing. We will talk more about it in a minute. First, let me show you how to set it up. This takes about 10 minutes. I'll walk you through each step. Step 1, install Ollama. Go to ollama.com, download for your operating system. On Mac or Linux, it's a one command in your terminal. I am on Windows, so I'll do on Windows. Once it's installed, step 2, pull a coding model. Not all models work well for coding. Ollama recommends 2 for Claude Code. For local use, Qwen 3 or GPT open source. In this demo, you will see me using GPT open source. If you want to use Ollama Claude models, GLM 4.7 Claude version also works well. Important, you need at least 32,000 context length for coding tasks. Anything less and the model loses track of what it's doing. Hardware matters too. You want a decent GPU and M-series Mac. Otherwise, you will be running painfully slow. I'm on the latest Intel 7 with the RTX 5070 from GeForce. You can run Ollama pool and then the model name. Or you could open the chat, select the model to download, and just start the message. It will download the model for you. You might need to give it a few minutes to download. The step 3 is to install the Claude Code. I already have it installed on my machine as I use it daily. But if you're on Mac or Windows, it's a one curl command. It's also available on Windows, and you download it with a PowerShell. It only takes 2 lines. The next step is to set up Anthropic auth token, which you need to make sure it's equal to Ollama. And last but not least, Anthropic base URL, which should be equal to localhost 11434 or whatever the URL you configured locally to run it. And that will tell Claude Code to talk to your local Ollama instead of Anthropic servers. Now let's run the Claude Code with a model flag. It's a Claude-model. And then the model name. And that's it. And you're running Claude Code locally. Let me demonstrate. If you want to double check which model it's running, you can go into config or model, and I will show you that instead of the usual default Opus or Haiku, it actually has the custom model for GPT OS 20 billion configured right here. I'll give it a simple task, write a function that validates an email address, and watch the terminal. It's thinking, it's processing, and eventually there will be a response. Notice that it's slower than the cloud. And that's the trade-off. But the code never left my machine. So it works. But the question is, what are you really asking? Is it actually good enough? Let me give you the honest picture. What works, what doesn't, and how to decide if it's right for you. Here's what the local models genuinely deliver. Simple refactoring and a code cleanup, they solid at this. Boilerplate generation, writing the repetitive stuff, which you would copy-paste anyway. Perhaps documentation, writing doc strings and readme files and comments. Consider test generation for straightforward code. Basically anything where you would accept good enough over over perfect. Now the limitations, and I'm going to be straight with you. Complex multi-file changes. The model will lose context. They forget what they were doing. Subtle bugs and edge cases, local models aren't as sharp as a Claude Sonnet, and they will miss things. And also speed, noticeably slower, especially on older hardware. If you're used to cloud response times, this will feel sluggish. The 32K context limitation hurts on a larger code bases. You can't feed it the entire project. And if you use the Claude Code with the Claude 4 on the cloud, this will feel like a downgrade, because it is. The cloud version running 200,000K context and a 1 million context is being rolled out. So how do you decide if it's right for you? Here's the framework I would use. For high sensitivity and the simple tasks, local makes sense. Client code that isn't leaving your network, but straightforward to work. For high complexity, low sensitivity, Claude cloud version is better. Internal tools, open source projects, anything where quality matters more than the privacy. And the middle ground, use local for client code and use cloud for your internal tools. So that's the honest picture. Local Claude Code is now possible. It's genuinely useful for governance constrained teams, but it's not a replacement for cloud models on a complex work. Next week, I'm reviewing Open Code, an open source project with over 60,000 stars on a GitHub that rivals Claude Code. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.